Artlist.io. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets, cause we know where we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocketeer and stopping here.
Music licensing reimagined.
We gon' always win. Promise that that's not a promise, yeah, that is a threat. You know that I promise to bring the team commas. When the whole team win, that's when you flex. Win, and I'ma do it again. Watch me win, then watch me do it again. Tell 'em I can't take no loss. My team hold no L's, no. Aiming for the top, can't make it by myself. I ain't taking no loss. I ain't taking no loss. Look, come on, always win. I ain't taking no loss. Look, come on, always win. We already know that we the coldest. Watch me heat it up, let me focus. I'm going toe to toe with foes. I know they notice. I kick in doors, they only hope for closing. Why? Cause they know I go again. And when they get it dry, I'm the one that can make it flow again. Talk to me nice, my team they ready to go again.
Music licensing reimagined.
We don't talk, better know the grind gon' match my walk. I'm a cheat code, I don't take no loss. Making no sense, run up the scope. Cause all I do is win, and I'ma do it again. Watch me win, then watch me do it again. Tell 'em I can't take no loss. My team hold no L's, no. Aiming for the top, can't make it by myself. I ain't taking no loss. I ain't taking no loss. Look, come on, always win. I ain't taking no loss. Look, come on, always win. I'm winning again and again and again, and it's all on repeat. I'ma just sit at the top 'cause I'm running it, dog. On me, I don't know defeat. Had to get back on the phone. I told them don't play with my name 'cause I know that it rings. They want my spot at the top with the crown.
Music licensing reimagined.
Good evening. Welcome in on this Sunday night from the Channel 9 studio. This is Sports Chat with Mr. 33. I am he, Mr. 33. And as this game is being complete, this game is ended with the Los Angeles Chargers defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers 25-10. Let us go back to start the day. And I believe we was in Berlin as the Colts were facing the Atlanta Falcons, or they was hosting the Atlanta Falcons. And this game had a lot of interest and suspense as it goes into overtime. And in overtime, Jonathan Allen seals the game with a touchdown to give them the 31-25 win. The Falcons kept it interesting. They kept it close. But, we'll talk about Jonathan Allen and his performance today in totality. Daniel Jones, he had a decent game today. He turned the ball over a couple times, 19-26, 255 yards, one touchdown, one interception. But this, like I said, today was really about Jonathan Allen. He had 32 carries for 244 yards. And 3 touchdowns. Tyler Warren led the team in receptions and yards with 8 receptions for 99 yards. But the 3 touchdown, 200 plus yards for Jonathan, they needed every bit of it to go on 8-2. But for the Falcons, who gave them a run for their money, Michael Penix had a subpar game for him. He was 12 of 28 for 177 yards, 1 touchdown. Bijan Robinson led the team in rushing, of course, with 84 yards rushing on 17 carries. And Drake London had a good game with 6 receptions for 104 yards. Coming into this game, it was more about the running backs. It was which running back was going to do the most damage. And today, by far, it was it was Jonathan Taylor over Bijan Robinson. So, averaging almost 8 yards a carry, it's a lot. You know what I mean? But this game had to go into overtime to be ended. So, shout out to Jonathan Taylor on his big day. Like I said, Bijan had a good game as well, but it wasn't enough for the Falcons, who takes the loss and goes to, what are they, 3-6 now? And with this win, the Colts remain 8-2 and on top of the AFC North, as well as the number one seed heading to the playoffs. So it's a big win for them. Um, and that's because in New England, well, in Tampa Bay, we had the New England Patriots square off against uh, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we see this game was close, but this was all about the defense today, as the New England Patriots win this game 28-23. This is their eighth win in a row. And like I said, this was more of a whole systematic thing. As Drake May was 16 of 31, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Travion Henderson had a very good game today. 14 carries for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Mac Hollins had over 100 yards receiving with 6 receptions and 106 yards. Stephon Diggs had a touchdown today. Kyle Williams had a 72-yard touchdown today. So this was a very big win. Tampa Bay tried to keep close, but every time they tried to get close, New England had an answer. And Baker Mayfield had some people might say it's a subpar game, but I'm saying he had a good game. 28 of 43, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns. There was no running game behind him, pretty much. Sean Tucker led the team in rushing, nine carries for 53 yards. And Ibuka led the team with receiving yards with 115. But Cade Otton, the tight end, led them in reception with 9. So with this win, like I said, the Patriots go to 8-2. Tampa Bay is now 6-3. So that's a huge break for the Patriots, because they stay attached to the Colts with the 8-2 records, and and they also gained a game on Buffalo, as Buffalo was dismantled in Miami 30-13, losing to the Dolphins. So with that gives them a 2.5 game lead, as Buffalo fell to the Dolphins. I'm baffled behind that myself. Which didn't make any sense. Well, let's go to the NFC West, where the Los Angeles Rams came in atop of the division. They went and faced the 49ers, and from start to finish, the Rams was in control of this game, winning 42-26. Matthew Stafford was 24 of 36, 280 yards, 4 touchdowns. Kyren Williams had 2 touchdowns rushing, along with 14 carries with 73 yards. and Devontae Adams led the team in receptions and yards with 6 receptions for 77 yards and a touchdown. Puka Nacua also had a touchdown. Um, you know, as Matthew Stafford spread this ball around to everybody. Running backs, tight ends, the wideouts, everybody got into this game. For the 49ers, Mac Jones had a good listen. I just think that the 49ers couldn't stop anybody, but when you look at Mac Jones' situation, 33 of 39, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, that one interception um, for 121 QBR rating. Christian McCaffrey had 12 carries for 30 yards. Brian Robinson had 41 yards, leading them in rushing. And George Kittle led the team with receptions and yards, with 9 receptions for 84 yards, 1 touchdown. Um, but like I said, this was more about the offense of the Rams, who seemingly went up and down the field with no resistance from the 49ers defense. And with this win, it gives them a, a it gives them a 7-2 record with the 49ers literally a game and a half back at 6-4. But they're not just the only ones. This game this game was just a blowout. As Arizona goes to Seattle to play the Seahawks win in convincing fashion 44-22. In this game, we see DeMarcus Lawrence have 2 defensive touchdowns. He had just as much touchdowns as the whole Cardinal team by himself. Uh, but Sam Darnold came out. He came out like he was on fire, but they didn't have to do too much. He has 12 attempts in an NFL game. That's rare. And you get the victory. We see that in New York. We'll talk about that in a minute. 10 of 12 for 178 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Charbonnet led the team in yards. Him and Walker had 14 carries, but Charbonnet had 83. Kenneth Walker had 67. Jackson Smith and Jigba led the team in receptions with 5 for 93 with a touchdown. Rashid Shaheed, who was traded here by from the Saints, he had 1 reception and he had 2 carries for 20 yards. So he was they let him get involved in the game. They try to get him involved in the game, but they didn't really need him for today. As the Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett was 22 of 44, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns. D Mercado led the team with 64 rushing yards. Trey McBride led the team in receptions, 9 receptions for 127 yards and a touchdown. But this was all about the Seahawks. By the end of the first quarter, they was up 21-0. Didn't look back after that. So with this win, this brings the Seahawks to 7-2 as well. So the Seahawks and Rams are tied to 7-2 in the division. San Francisco is 6-4, and the Cardinals dropped to 3-6. In the NFC West. So the West is looking very competitive, as you got 2 teams atop of the division, but they give it to the Seahawks. Better record as far as divisional. So now we can go ahead and look at the Steeler game. The Steeler game that just ended. This was 25-10 because they are. Well, hold on, can't get to the back. One second, y'all bear with me. get to this scores and stats of the game of the night, the night game, which was the Los Angeles Chargers defeating the Steelers 25-10. Uh, the defense of the Steelers kept Aaron Rodgers at bay as he only passed for 161 yards, 16 of 31, 161 yards, one TD, two picks. DK Metcalf had 3 receptions for 35 yards. That tied him with the yards, but in receptions. Jaylen Warren had 14 carries for 70 yards. Like I said, it's a very quiet game for the Steelers. They got a late touchdown, but this game was not close at all. When you look at what Justin Herbert did, Justin Herbert was 20 of 33, 220 yards, a touchdown. Kamani Vidal was 25 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown. Lad McConkey had 107 receiving yards, but Quentin Johnson led the team with 5 receptions. Keenan Allen only had 2 receptions, but those 2 receptions allowed him to be the Chargers all-time leading receiver, passing Antonio Gates with 956 receptions on the team. So, but with this win, the Chargers move up to 7-3, still a game behind the Denver Broncos, and the Steelers are now 5-4. But there's some birds that's coming behind them, as the Baltimore Ravens did get the win today in Minnesota. Their win was 27-19, which gives them the 4-5. The loss puts Minnesota at 4-5 as well, but the Ravens are a game behind. The Jacksonville Jaguars was up 29-10 in the fourth quarter, and they allowed the Houston Texans to score 26 unanswered points in the final quarter, which gives the Texans a 36-29 win in Houston, which dropped the Jaguars to 5-4. The Texans move up to 4-5. They're trying to get to 500. In Chicago, the Giants were up 20-10. Jackson Dart gets injured. Then all of a sudden, the Bears score 14 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, gain a 24-20 victory, which keeps the Bears at 6-3, as well as a half a game back. Well, I'm saying percentage points because of the tie that the Packers do have on their record, but the Bears are tied for second place with the Detroit Lions, as the Detroit Lions dismantled the Washington Commanders 44-20 to get themselves to 6-3, and the Commanders is a sinking ship. As you know, Jaden Daniels did not play. He injured his elbow last week in the game. He may be out for the rest of the season. They have not put him on IR, but they fall to 3-7. Covered these games. In New York, the New York Jets defeated the Cleveland Browns 27-20. This was the weirdest game of all. The New York Jets won a game where the quarterback for the team, Justin Fields, was 6 of 11, 54 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Breece Hall had 83 yards on 21 carries and 1 reception for 42 yards, but that was a touchdown. So, and And Dylan Gabriel, even with those numbers, couldn't do enough. He was 17 of 32, 167 yards with 2 touchdowns, but they couldn't. I don't like. It's very hard to explain. Quinshawn Judkins had 75 rushing yards on 22 carries. Uh, Jared Judy did have a touchdown and led the team with receptions and yards. 6 for 78. So, like I said, that was just a crazy outlook on that game. Um, Also, we had the Saints defeating the Panthers 17-7, which pushed the Saints back to 500. Excuse me, the Panthers back to 500, and the Saints go to 2-8. And like I said earlier, the Bills 13, the Dolphins 30. So with all of that, right, we're gonna go to the standings. We're gonna go to the standings. Commander, what up, Don? Shadow Ninja, what's going on with you? We see in the AFC, the Patriots have an 8-2 record. The Bills are 6-3, which is a 2.5 game lead. In the North, even though it's not stated, Pittsburgh is now 5-4. The Ravens are 4-5, which gives them a game back, and I believe they have a game coming up very soon. The Colts just keep winning with their 8-2 record. So we got the Colts, we got the Patriots, and we got the Broncos all sitting at 8-2. The Chargers, what they win is 7-3. They're a half game back. Kansas City has a bye, so we don't know. They're still fighting for a playoff position. They're tied with the Jaguars, but because the Jaguars beat them in that game early in the season, the Jaguars have the 7th position in the playoff race. In the NFC, we got the big game tomorrow, the Eagles versus the Packers. But the Giants and Commanders losing. And the Cowboys by it didn't, it made no damage to the division race in the NFC East. The Lions and like I said, the Lions and Bears both being 6-3, waiting on tomorrow's result. If the Packers lose, the Lions and Bears will be tied for first place, but we have to wait and see tomorrow. In the South, we see the Tampa Bay Bucks of 6-3. That loss to the Saints I believe it does more harm than good to the Panthers because they would have been at least tied in the win column for first place, but they're a game and a half out. Well, they almost 2 games out, but they're 5-5. Falcons with that tough loss in Berlin. But when we get to that NFC West, we see the Seahawks, we see the Rams 7-2. Because Seattle has the better divisional record and the better conference. Well, the better divisional record alone. They're 2-1 in the division. The Rams are 1-1. The 49ers lost their first divisional game today, and that dropped them down to 6-4. So those are the standings today in the NFL, right? Sadly, today the NFL, Regina Lugo, welcome in. Uh, the NFL lost the former commissioner Paul Tagliabue. He was the commissioner before Roger Goodell. He passed away today at the age of 84. He's known for bringing a lot of these games to prominence, as a lot of the TV contracts was really under his watch. He had to deal with the Super Bowl 25 situation as far as the war in Iraq. He had to deal with the 9/11 situation. Like, he kept everybody, he kept the league going. And he was a well respected commissioner. There wasn't really no, you know, drama as far as, off field situations. He brought the union and the owners together, even though they had a couple situations, but he kept them close knit. But condolences to Paul Tagliabue and his family as as they go through this tough time. He was 84 years old, so like I said, condolences to him and his family. We can go to some NBA scores. So in the NBA, we had a few games today. We could start with, let's go from the top. We see the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves defeat the Sacramento Kings 144 to 117. In San Francisco or Oakland, the Golden State Warriors 114, the Indiana Pacers 83. In Philadelphia, the Detroit Pistons 111 and the 76ers 108. The Thunder continue to win. They're 10-1, 114 and 100 over the Memphis Grizzlies. Boston getting close to 500 with their win in Orlando, 111 to 107 over the Orlando Magic. The New York Knickerbockers 134, the Brooklyn Nets 98, and in Milwaukee, the Houston Rockets 122, the Bucks 115. Those were all the scores of the day in NBA. Also today in the NBA, Lenny Wilkens, a longtime coach and player of the NBA, one of the five men that was enshrined into the NBA Hall of Fame as a player and a coach, passed away today. He was known for coaching in recent times, like the Cleveland Cavs. I believe he coached the Knicks. But he passed away. He was 88 years old. Um, so this is what he looked like as a player. He played in, I believe he played in Seattle and won the championship in Seattle at the same time in 1979. So, this is one of the scenarios that, he coached over close to 2,500 games. You know, it's just, for me, it hits a little, because at the end of the day, these are some of the people, I remember fondly growing up. Okay, I got you, Commander. I wasn't even paying no attention to it. Um, yeah, but these are the guys that I grew up coming along watching as far as coaching and understanding they allowed us to understand the coaching side for as far as the NBA and the way that the business of football was being handled at that particular time. You know, like I said, this was like for Paul Tagliabue, that was like 1989 to 2006, and Lenny Wilkens was coaching, you know, and playing basketball before I was born. He was in the NBA way before I was born. So even with that, it's kind of, it's very difficult when you have to go through scenarios like that because you getting older And a lot of people that's above you is going to pass on, pass away and things like that. Um, so because of that, it, it's kind of rough. It's kind of difficult. You know what I mean? Because it allows you to see that you're getting older as well. But it takes you back to a time where things was much more simpler and easier to enjoy and watch the games. It's not that you can't enjoy it now, but it was just so much simpler back then. It wasn't too much. It wasn't too much politics behind the games, as far as well, this, and this. So those two gentlemen, they left a lasting legacy in their respective sports. Um, so, like I said, condolences to Lenny Wilkins and his family. Condolences to Commissioner Tagliabue and his family. Um, so tomorrow night it's gonna be. We'll be back on. We'll be talking about the Raw. Well, let's see what. Well, we know the John Cena final match tournament is going to start tomorrow on Monday Night Raw. Um, So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what the Vision may do, what CM Punk is going to do after last week being knocked out by Logan Paul. Um, so we got that aspect to look at. We also going to go over tomorrow night's Monday Night Football game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers, which is literally is for first place in the conference per se. Because if the Packers win, they will be in first place in the conference. If the Eagles win, they'll be 7-2, and they'll be in control of the entire conference. We'll talk about that. We'll also go over some basketball highlights. Uh, we'll figure it out as far as starting a new week for the NBA. We'll be finishing up week 10 tomorrow as well. So, we got a lot of work to do. My 33 partner, my 33 brother, my co-host is not he didn't come in tonight. Normally we'd get to talk about, some of the games and highlights of what happened today and preview it tomorrow. But, we know we want him to rest and get himself up to par, even though we did see him last night. We hung out last night as far as having a conversation about uh, expectation and knowing what you should know about certain aspects. Like today, we expected a lot of these teams, the subpar teams, to lose. But sometimes you have to elevate yourself, just to get yourself to a better state of mind, a better way of thinking, right? After this week, the New York Jets got a win with no type of offense. They got rid of, they made a couple of trades for future prospects as far as first round, second round draft picks, right? And nobody expected them to win, but they ended up winning their game against the Browns. Nobody thought the Saints was going to beat uh, the Panthers. They ended up winning. So today we saw a lot of underdogs. The Texans defeat the Jaguars, right? With no CJ Strauss. Sometimes it's up to you as an individual to say that you can overcome a situation. You can overcome an injury like the Texans did. They overcame an injury to CJ Stroud, came roaring back with 26 points in the fourth quarter. Say, even if you bypass me, we gonna make you pay for overlooking us, looking into next week or the next game in this case. And the Jaguars paid. because they lost the game in the fourth quarter, and now the Jaguars is not, well, the Texans is maybe a game under the Jaguars, all because they didn't have the mindset to finish the game and overlook them by just thinking they won the game before the final seconds is over. If we was to carry that into life, that's what a lot of people do to us. A lot of people make us look like we when we down, we're out. Nah, the game ain't over till the final gun, the final seconds is ticked off the clock, or you ran that final mile, that 26 mile in the marathon. It's nothing over until the time says it's over. Your time is up. As long as you got time, you can still win your race. You can still win your game. And like I said, the Texans proved that today. The Saints proved that today. The Saints was trading people away, and they still won the game. And I find that the Jets the same way. They traded away people, and people probably was like, you know what, we ain't even worried about them. They giving up. They selling their team. They selling their parts away. They're not looking to play today. And then all of a sudden, they come around and do that. They steal a victory, right? And like I said, this was one of the weeks that a lot of the teams under 500 came back and took these higher teams to their limit. The Miami Dolphins defeating the Buffalo Bills. Now look at Buffalo. Buffalo is now 2 games back from the AFC East lead that they once had at the beginning of the season. Now they are looking up at the New England Patriots, who just continuously win. This was a good win for the Patriots. They beat a top ranked offense. They beat a number one seed in the NFC South division, right? And they did it with defense, a few offensive plays, but mostly defense. Shout out to Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel may be the coach of the year because nobody, if you're not from Boston, you're not in that from that New England area, nobody thought that the New England Patriots would be not only winning the AFC East, but they are in steps away from being the number one seed in the AFC conference. You ain't hear that since Tom Brady was around. Tom Brady been going for a few years now. Matter of fact, I don't think they made the playoffs since Tom Brady left. Bill Belichick got released. No, they haven't. So that's what I'm saying. You have to understand what you expect from yourself. Your expectations of yourself, you got to put it into motion. What you expect you can do, you got to put it into motion. You got to make it a verb and elevate yourself to the highest level. Only those guys in that locker room, that New England locker room, say, "Yo, we felt the camaraderie since day one. Coach Vrabel did this, and this. He instilled that as long as we keep working, whatever Mike Vrabel is doing, it's working, right? Whatever Shane Schleicher is doing in Indianapolis, because Daniel Jones is not known for being a winner. Before last week, a lot of people said Daniel Jones could be he could be talked about as a MVP caliber player. We saw today Jonathan Taylor carried the load for them today. They probably are talking about him to be an MVP caliber player, rushing for 244 yards today, putting on that show for those people in Germany. So nobody saw that coming. This is what the beauty of sports is, and if you put that into everyday life, we can be in that same format. You can be that one that nobody sees coming, and then you could be that top of the line person. You could be that CEO. You could be that one that made it out of those terrible situations. And that's why you know, uh, you know, we try to tell people, like, you got to continue to work on yourself. The 9% say a better you is a better us. That means when you become better, the people around you is going to feel your aura, right? When you bring that winning energy in, as New England is now seeing, hey, you bring that Super Bowl caliber in. How? Because you won the Super Bowl. You can get us there. I know what it takes to get you to the Super Bowl. When you buy into a situation, when you buy into what people are telling you, and it starts to work, the sky is the limit. And that's why this year in the NFL is looking like it's looking very, very different. The Kansas City Chiefs is not the number one seed. The Kansas City Chiefs is fighting for a playoff spot. But we sitting here talking about the New England Patriots could be the number one seed. The Indianapolis Colts right now is the number one seed. And then we got the Denver Broncos, who you know, Sean Payton's won a Super Bowl. He's instilling something into them. They may not play every 4 quarters, but they do enough to win their games. But when you get that winning attitude around you, it hits a soul, it hits a spirit, it hits a locker room. That's why in real life you're supposed to surround yourself with people that's doing better than you, so that aura kicks into your life, and it helps you to elevate your state of mind and say, I know I can do better. I will do better. Your expectations will become something of a higher level than what it was before you was around those winning people. So I just that's the beauty of sports. The beauty of sports is that you can relay this thing into an everyday life situation. And like I said, when people got you down and out, you can you can pick yourself up. Like I said, you can be like the New York Jets today. Ain't had no type of thing going on, but they still gained a victory. Or you could be like the Texans. They had you down for 3 quarters, and in them last 15 minutes, you did enough to overcome, win the game, and take some morale from the Jacksonville Jaguars, because I know they were stunned. Like, wait, we was up 29-10 and lost 36-29. We did not score 1 point in the fourth quarter. I think they only had 2 yards of total offense in the fourth quarter. So you was doing whatever you want for the first 3 quarters, but something slowed you down. Something stopped you in the fourth quarter. That's not the way you want to live life. You want to finish your game off the way you started it, right? Some people say, you know what, we did enough to win the game, but you're not going to win consistently doing that. I promise you that. The consistency of you putting in that work is going to show if you want to win or lose. It's very rare that you could score 26 points in the fourth quarter and win. It's like I said, that's a rare thing. But if you continue to do what you can, if you continue to do what you need to do in order to be victorious, you will never be a victim. If you understand that winners don't quit and quitters don't win, ask the Texans. They didn't give up. They kept playing football. And what happened in the fourth quarter? They did enough to win the game. That's what we have to instill in our everyday life. That's what we have to do as far as, you know, saying, dang, we ain't put our best foot forward right now. But when we get the next possession back, we can start building on that. The day may not be working well for you, but if you able to open your eyes tomorrow, you can do this. You can start from there and begin your comeback or your come up. But that's a decision that each of you guys would have to decide if that's what you want to do. Expect the best, but work for greatness. That would be my suggestion to you as I end this show tonight. I appreciate everybody coming through. But like I said, I would leave that last comment to you. Expect the best, but strive to be great. You know that you can be great. Each and every one of y'all that hears this conversation, this editorial, just know that you can be great. Just because you ain't doing the best right now, if you get another opportunity, you can become better. Like I said, winners don't quit and quitters don't win. But all the scores and the highlight, well, all the scores and things that were shown today was brought to you by the 9%. Like I said, what a better you is a better us. And we will be back in 23 hours, like I said, to talk about wrestling. We will talk about Monday Night Football. We will talk about the NBA. So with that being said, like I said, I appreciate everybody coming through. We'll see you in 23 hours. Commander, it's a blessing to see you. I'm glad you are all right. Quick note, I don't know if you saw the replay, but the big nine was out. He was out and doing okay. He's getting a little bit better. So he showed up, and had a little live last night. But, he just wanted you to know he good. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody coming through. See you in 23 hours from the Channel 9 studio. This is Mr. 33 signing off. See you in 23 hours.